accessibility then now.
Listen, please do. Yeah, please do.
So I noticed that you've got this plugin, haven't you? Which I looked at that user way, so I sort of went online and I found it on. And it's American based, isn't it? From the point of view of their American. Oh no, they've got a name for it. I picked it up.
ADL compliance or ALD compliance or something like that.
Yeah, whatever. So this from what you said earlier, then this is giving a base level of accessibility, is it?
Yes and no. Yes and no. It gives someone who is requiring those options. It gives them the ability to use that. Maybe I like using a big cursor, for example, like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've got the options to do that. But having this on its own doesn't make you compliant. There's a lot more to it behind the scenes. This just gives people another suite of tools on top of technical compliance.
Okay.
So we can have a look at this. At the moment, as it stands, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot on here that won't comply. So the text here, for example, the color contrast between the background text and the actual color of the background page, the white background and the light gray here, that's not compliant. We just have to make that a bit darker. It's things like that. So we've got to go through the site, make a few global changes and get those little bits done. You see there, if I hover over that, do you see that pop-up box?
Yeah.
Bottom right-hand corner, we've got a contrast level of 3.25. We need to be around 4.6, 4.7. So there's a little bit more to do on the website. There's a few bits and pieces that we can.
And that's something that
we're going to do it all for you. Yeah, absolutely. It's a pain, if I'm being honest. It's not something we're looking forward to doing, but we will have it all done, all for the deadlines in September.
Yes, it's September this year, because I noticed that you also need a privacy policy.
A privacy policy and a accessibility statement.
Yeah.
And your accessibility statement will say things like, you're not going to be, Steve, sorry, you're not going to be 100% compliant. You're not.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important about telling people why you're not. And that's the transparency side of things. So, you know, you're going to have agendas and minutes, or you're going to have, unless you want to go back through and reconvert all these to PDFs, or if you want to go back through, that's not something we're going to do for you. We're not going to re-upload all your documents as PDFs, for example.
No, but I mean, if it's something that we should do, then that, you know, I wouldn't have an issue in doing that. But so how will we know then, or have you got any sort of thoughts planned out? You'll do what you can to make it compliant. But if the site isn't compliant in other areas, how will we know what isn't and what is? Yeah,
that's a very good question. So technically, everything that we do in terms of the look and the feel, everything on the website will be compliant. I've got this tool here, this Wave Accessibility Checker. And we can see there we've got 12 errors and we've got 78 contrast errors. We'll fix all of those. So you'll have 0 errors and you'll have 0 contrast errors. So color changes, things like that. Now, there are PDFs on here that I imagine are scanned documents. You may have a scanned document of something someone signed at some point, or an account. I think on the end of year accounts, usually something like audit document. Let's have a quick look at that. What's that? That's a scanned document. Now, if I've got screen reading software, because I can't read with my eyes, I want it read to be read out to me. It's almost impossible to have that read out to me because it's a picture. It's a picture of a document, if anything.
Yeah, I understand.
So that on itself, by itself, will fail accessibility compliance. That is not an accessible document. The problem is with that people are sort of, up in arms that, well, this is inaccessible. What do I do? How do I get it to be there? And do
you have to create it into an audio file or something?
Well, yes, and yeah, in a way. I think that the way to get around it is to have your accessibility statement and state that we're aware of documents needing to be accessible PDF documents. And for the majority, most of them are. There may be a couple, and you can list your audit document 2020, 2019, that do not comply based on the fact that they are scanned documents. If you would like this document read out to you, please contact the clerk and we'll be happy to to talk you through it.
Yeah.
We're giving people a route, and as long as you're giving people a route to find that information out that they maybe can't without that statement. So, as it stands now, it's not accessible. You've put in a statement on there to say, we're aware of this. We want to make this accessible to you. And if you need that, please call us. It's not something that, you're going to expect 10 calls a day for or anything like that, or maybe never. You may never get a call, but we've got to say that we're giving people an option to do it.
Okay.
So, and even with all these documents that you've got here, it may be a disproportionate burden to go and convert them all to PDF accessible, to go through all the different years worth of documents and make sure they all comply. So you can say that in your statement. And this is, I think it's all opinion, to be honest, Steve. I haven't been told that I'm right or wrong with this, but this is my understanding of it, is that you can say it's a disproportionate burden to go and sort these things out. But you tell people that there is a route if they need it, and you give the people the option to talk to you if they need that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's an interesting topic at the moment, of course, as you can imagine. We do have this checklist. It's WCAG 2.1 Level AA checklist.
This looks familiar. I think something I downloaded. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very useful, actually. Do all images have appropriate text equivalent? Is essential visual information also available as text? So this is the alternative text on images, has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, a lot of the time when we're looking through a parish council website, I can't tell you where this image is, for example. I don't know where that is. No idea. Or that. But I could say this is a photo of a field in Bilton in Ainsty, something like that, just to describe what it is to someone who can't.
So do all images, are they supposed to have a displayable text?
It's all under the hood, if you like. So it's all screen readers will be able to see it. So all of them should have this text on there, yeah. Unless it's decorative. And you could argue, well, where do you draw the line actually with what's decorative image and what isn't? So that could be a decorative image. You don't need to describe what it is. It doesn't add anything to the page. If I couldn't see the page, would I be missing it? Is it vital information that this image is trying to get across? Not really.
So is this information separate to the description and the alt text?
No, this is alt text, but you draw a line with what you think is what images you think need it.
So on images, you have the information. When you scroll over an image, you can get some text, can't you, about what it is? Where does that normally pull it? Does that pull it from the alt text?
Pulls it from the alt text and the title. So my alternative text here, I'd say photo of a field. Okay. And you've got a little bit of a direction underneath that where it says describe the purpose of this image, leave empty if this image is purely decorative. I would say do all of them if you can. It doesn't take long to scroll through.
No. Mm-hmm.
I can do that one. There's no save button either, so it's quite quick. It says saved at the top corner once I've done it, and go back to it and it's done. So I'm in the media library now and I'm just scrolling through the different images, and there's a handful of images here, aren't there? There aren't too many to do. But if we look at that now on the home page and I have a look at the text for that image, I can see that it's been added in, photo of a field. You may not be able to see that actually unless I look underneath the page source.
I thought there was a feature where if you just scrolled your mouse over an image,
it's the title text. We don't really. I mean, that's not what they're looking for. That's not what they're looking for.
Is it right? Okay.
So, photo of a field. You can see there in the screen. Alt equals photo of a field. Yeah. And then titles the field. So it brings that information in. So it's something that these accessibility tools look for. It's something that a screen reader would look for. Something that I'd say you have to have. Back on the checklist as well, there's other things here. Do all audio files have a transcript? Not appropriate. Do all videos have captions? Well, we don't have any. Does a video that includes important have audio description? So again, and going forward, it's if you want a video on there, you have to do these things.
Yes. And in some ways, it's a reason not to do it if you don't have to do it.
Yes, you could look at it that way.
Yeah.
We don't want it. the phrase that I'm using at the moment is you don't want it, the tail to be wagging the dog with this. You know,
Mm.
you want to use your website freely. You want to do what you want to put on there, what you want to put on there to communicate to the area. And if there's 2 or 3 people that may have a difficulty with that, you don't want to do everything to their needs, but you have to be mindful of their needs. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So, and being mindful of it is putting it in the accessibility statement and giving people a route. So it's a difficult one, especially with video. Yeah, it's a difficult one. Is the content structure that communicated visually is available to assistive technologies? That's what we do. That's technical. If styling is removed as content in logical order, technical, that's for us as well. Have you avoided using visual characteristics to communicate this information? So that's things like icons and scans of documents and stuff like that. We've avoided it, yes. Yeah, we've avoided it, but it doesn't mean there is still some on there. It's a bit loose, that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you avoided using color as the only way to convey some information? Well, yes, I think we have. Can users stop audio that plays? There isn't any. You know, we could run through the list, but this is something we're doing for you.
Right.
So everything we're going to be doing, same with contrast, color contrast, line height, spacing, can be changed without breaking anything. Yes, we've got user-way that can allow us to do that. So, you know, there's a lot in there that we're thinking about. And most of it for us is colors and it's alternative text more than anything. It's the alternative text on pages.
So, I mean, you were saying about that when you use the example of the created by, you know, and it was a light grey on a white background.
Yes.
So, but the customer, the parish council, effectively have got options, haven't they, to go in and change all colours.
Yes, you do.
So how are you going to manage that? How are you going to sort of make sure that, you know, the default is compliant because you're making it nice and black on a white background, but the council goes in and changes it to light grey?
That's nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
If I'm being very honest, we'll do it from we build you a website, it's compliant. If you change something, that's the parish council's issue.
So there isn't something that's going to pop up and say, okay, this is what you want to do, but it's not compliant.
No, not at all.
No,
not at all. I mean, you know, I don't want to sound standoffish with that, but if you do change something that's out of our control and don't tell us, what can we do?
Yeah.
You know, but we're quite happy to do these things, you know, no charge. We'll go through, we'll make sure that it does tick all the boxes. We'll change those colors. If you then change them back and you get a letter in the post to say, well, you're not being compliant, we're going to fine you. Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. That's okay. So you're working on that, and when was the deadline? Was it December of this year?
September 23rd this year. I'm not sure why they've chosen that day. Actually, 23rd, is it Monday? Wednesday. I think it's the 23rd anyway. Something like 23rd of September this year to do it. So it will be done. It will all be in hand. I've got no issues with that. We'll have that all sorted for you, so it will tick all the boxes.
Yeah.
A lot of our websites use the same theme, the base theme. So I know in this theme that we're using here, the search box, for example, doesn't have a label. And to you and me, that doesn't really make a difference. But to someone who can't see the search box and needs to know that it's a search box, that's a big issue. So I know exactly where to go in the theme to go and make that change and get that sorted. So the changes that we are making, we want to get them right for every single parish council. And we're working on all of them behind the scenes, and then we'll roll them out, and we'll let you know, of course, as soon as that's been done.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of these things that, you know, we didn't really consider in a lot of detail maybe when it was built because we didn't need to, or maybe we did, but we didn't know about it. And it's difficult though then with these rule changes and these legislations that come out, and yeah. But we have to do it. As a provider of parish council websites, we have to be up on it.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll get that sorted. You may see some very subtle colour changes. You know, nothing massive, nothing drastic, but that will go from being a light grey to something a bit more like that, which is a bit darker. Now we've got a contrast level of 10.55. You know, that's fine, isn't it? That's not a problem.
Okay. Yeah. No. Oh no. 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 I'm not saying that we've got a rigid colour scheme. We don't want you changing it. Not
Oh,
at
no, no,
all.
no, of
No. No.
course. No, of course. Don't worry about that. That's fine. We'll match colours as well where we can, just to the sort of the next darker scale down. The thing is as well.
I think. Sorry. I think you're obviously going to go through from a technical specification and make all the changes. What might be useful is, for all parish councils, is a checklist, albeit basic, from yourselves of things like your documents should be PDFs, rather than Word documents. So we could go through that and say, well, okay, yeah, we've done that, because otherwise, not having a technical background or a legal, it's not exactly legal, is it? But you know what I mean? The government's the knowledge background about what is compliant and what isn't. We're not necessarily going to know what things that we could change, and the things might be quite simple to change, but if we don't know about them.
No, I agree, and I think, I guess that's why NALCA's sending out what they're sending out, and they're doing all those things as well. But for us to summarise that and tell you from a website level, that would be quite useful. So it's something that I've got on my list as well to send out with my newsletters once we start those up. But definitely something.
I mean, sometimes there's an element, isn't there, of wanting to be compliant to prevent yourself from any issues or complaints.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things that I did a quick review on using Zoom, and I created, I'm not sure it's been uploaded, a risk assessment on the parish council using Zoom, because there's there's quite a bit of negative media about, and we know for a fact that Harrogate Borough Council have banned their councillors from using Zoom, and our councillor within Harrogate Borough Council, he joined our Zoom meeting on his own laptop, but they're using Microsoft Teams and things like that. So maybe there's an element of, we don't want multiple platforms, we just on one. But I did the risk assessment because I thought, well, somebody might say, "Ooh, there's a lot of media about hacking and Zoom bombing and whatever. Why have the council done that?" So I thought it was important to do a risk assessment and what our thoughts were about it.
No, that's great. That's great. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with what you're saying there. Totally agree with that.
All right, so we've covered then the accessibility at this time.
It's just not a nice subject, though, if I'm being honest, Steve. I'm sorry. It's one of these things that we've been forced to do, and it all makes sense. We need to do it, but it's just come at a time when I think the world isn't really focused on things like that right now. But it'll be done. It'll all be done for you. We'll get it sorted. We do everything, as I say, from a technical point of view. We'll point you in a direction of an accessibility statement. That's the only thing we can't do, is we can guide you with the statement. We can't sign it. It's not for us to sign anything like that. So the clerk just has to say agrees with whatever's in the statement, puts his name and date on it.
I mean, as far as I'm aware, there isn't a privacy policy. I think that there is, isn't there, somewhere on here? I think
it might be under some documents.
Strategic documents, I would think.
That's where it should be. And if you've got your policy updated, got your risk assessment, privacy policy. I'm not sure. I mean, again, we can help out with that.
I've got them on my website, so I thought maybe I have seen it somewhere. But
data protection policy.
It might be under there, yeah, something.
Again, having it as a Word document is not useful.
Well, I can take that on. We can go and sort this out. I think it's quite strange.
Okay. Get in touch. Let's see what happens when we get in touch. What have I linked it to? Yeah, we need our statement on there. Usually on a contact form, we have a statement to say you're submitting your details and you agree with the privacy policy, and then link to it.
Or email, we will not spam you. Something.
Yeah, exactly. We have to be, again, transparent with what we're doing. So there's a few changes needed. I think a few changes needed.
But that one's in your era, is it in your realm?
Again, I don't know with your data. How long do you keep data for? I mean, I can put something together, a basic privacy policy. Aberley Parish Council is one that we usually take their policy from them quite often. It's a site we did. It's not like we're nicking it from anyone, but their policy was quite robust. And you can see there's a lot of information, collect about you, legal basis, sharing, so on and so forth. Make a complaint. We copy all that and we can bring it over. And if you wanted that on there, we can.
Yeah, well, I can do that. You know, we're recording this, so I've got the information. You concentrate on your accessibility.
Okay.
I can do
a fair bit to look at with that.
Yeah.
And you see, this is another site as well. We've done colours again aren't going to pass. So it's something we've got to roll out on all of our websites.
Now, I'll probably be able to find it, but you can probably just point me straight to it. Now, I see they've got their privacy policy in the footer at the right-hand corner.
That's right.
So is that something from that homepage, or is it in the default, in the basic settings?
It's under menus again. And we create a new footer menu, which you've got. Sitemap in there at the moment, we add to that. So we'll add it to that menu, and in your website at the bottom, you've got sitemap, and it'll just go next to it. So you have your privacy policy next to that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, understand that.
So hopefully that's put your mind at ease a little bit with the accessibility side of things.
Yes, no, that's fine. Yeah, we just wanted to see where you were at with that, and that, we'd seen that little pop-up logo on the bottom, and I didn't know how far that went along, but as you say, there's more to be done.
There is more to be done. It does add a few tools and few features which are quite useful, I guess, for the people that need it. But it's not the be-all and end-all. It wasn't a quick fix that we thought, we'll get it on all of them. We've done our job.
I did think that.
No. No, there's a bit more to it.
More to it. Okay.